The world has gone quiet. Shadows stretch across the walls. Let your thoughts grow soft. A story waits in the stillness. If it brings you peace, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a night. Now, let the story find you. You step off the train, your shoes tapping softly against the wet platform. The air in this small Japanese village smells of rain-soaked cedar and earth, a scent that clings to your skin like a memory. It's late afternoon, and the sky is a heavy gray, promising more rain. Your backpack feels heavier than it did when you left the city, as if the weight of this place is already settling into your bones. You've come to Yamagiri, a village tucked into the mountains, chasing a story your grandmother once told you. A tale of a woman whose voice lingers in the rain, calling to those who listen too closely. You're not sure why it's pulled you here now, but the city felt too loud, too bright, and this place ... It feels like it's been waiting for you. The station is small, almost forgotten, with a single ticket booth shuttered tight. A faded sign points toward the village, and you follow it, your footsteps muffled by the damp gravel path. The trees lean in close, their branches dripping, and you pull your jacket tighter. You're not alone, though. A man stands at the edge of the path, his umbrella tilted against the drizzle. He's older, his face lined like the bark of the trees around you, and his eyes catch yours with a quiet intensity. You're not from here, he says, his voice low, almost swallowed by the patter of rain. Why come to Yamagiri? You hesitate, your breath visible in the cool air. You tell him you're here for the stories, the old ones about the rain. His expression shifts, a flicker of something unreadable. Be careful what you listen for, he says, turning away. Some voices don't let go. He walks into the mist and you're left standing there, the words sinking into you like the rain into the earth. The village comes into view as you round a bend. Low houses with tiled roofs huddle together, their wooden frames weathered but sturdy. Lanterns glow faintly in the dusk, casting pools of light on the cobblestones. You find the inn your grandmother mentioned, a place called Suki. Number Hikari, the light of the moon. The owner, a woman named Hana, greets you with a warm smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She's in her 40s, her hair tied back in a loose bun, and she moves with a grace that feels practiced, like she's playing a part. Your room's upstairs, she says, handing you a key. Don't wander too far at night. The rain, it carries things. You nod, unsure if she's joking, but her gaze lingers a moment too long. The room is simple. A futon, a low table, a window overlooking the forest. You set your bag down and sit by the window, listening to the rain. It's soft at first, a gentle rhythm, but there's something else. A sound woven into it, faint and fleeting, a voice maybe. You strain to hear it, but it slips away, leaving only the steady drip of water. You unpack, pulling out your notebook. You've always been a collector of stories, jotting down fragments of myths and legends. This one, though, feels different. Your grandmother's voice echoes in your mind, her words from years ago. In Yamagiri, the rain speaks her name, Yuki. She loved too deeply, and the rain took her for it. You wrote it down then, a child's scribble, but now it feels alive, like the story is reaching for you. Downstairs, you join a few other guests for dinner. There's a young couple, Kaito and Imi, who seem out of place in their city clothes, laughing too loudly. An older woman, Reiko, sits quietly, her hands folded, her eyes distant. And then there's a man, Taro, who watches you from across the table. He's in his 30s, with sharp features and a restless energy. "Heard you're chasing ghost stories," he says, his tone teasing but his eyes serious. You nod, mentioning the tale of Yuki. The room quiets. Hana, clearing plates, pauses. "That's an old one," she says softly. "Not everyone likes to hear it." You ask why, but no one answers directly. Kaito changes the subject, talking about the hiking trails, but you feel Taro's gaze on you like he's measuring something. Reiko finally speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yuki's voice is in the rain. If you hear it, she's chosen you." The words hang in the air, and you feel a chill, not from the cold, but from something deeper. You glance out the window where the rain has grown heavier, streaking the glass like tears. That night, you lie on the futon, the rain a constant murmur outside. You close your eyes, trying to sleep, but the sound shifts. It's not just rain anymore. There's a cadence, a rise and fall, like someone singing far away. You sit up, heart quickening. The voice is faint, a woman's voice, soft and mournful. You can't make out the words, but it pulls at you, urging you to listen closer. You press your hand to the window, the glass cold against your palm. The rain seems to pulse with the voice, each drop carrying a fragment of her sorrow. You tell yourself it's your imagination, that you're tired from the journey. But as you lie back down, the voice lingers, threading through the rain, calling you into the dark. You wake to the soft patter of rain against the window, the sound weaving into your dreams like a half-forgotten song. The room is dim, the morning light muted by the heavy clouds outside. You lie still for a moment, listening. The voice from last night feels like a dream, but your skin prickles with the memory of it. You shake it off, telling yourself it's just the strangeness of a new place, but the air in the inn feels heavier today, as if the rain has brought something with it. You dress and head downstairs, where Hana is setting out breakfast, steamed rice, miso soup, and pickled vegetables. The dining room is quiet, the other guests moving slowly, their voices hushed. Kaito and Amy are already there, their laughter from last night replaced by tired smiles. Reiko sits by the window, staring out at the rain, her fingers tracing patterns on the table. Taro isn't here, and you feel a strange relief at his absence. His intensity last night unsettled you, like he knew more than he was saying. Hana pours you tea, her movements deliberate. "Did you sleep well?" she asks, her eyes searching yours. You nod, mentioning the rain's sound, but you don't tell her about the voice. Something in her expression makes you hold back. "The rain's loud this time of year," she says, almost too casually. "It tells stories if you listen too long." You smile, unsure how to respond, but her words echo the old man's warning from yesterday. You sip the tea, its warmth grounding you, and decide to explore the village today. You need answers, and sitting still feels like letting the story slip away. You pull on your raincoat and step outside, the air cool and damp against your face. The village is quiet, the streets empty, except for the occasional figure hurrying under an umbrella. You wander past small shops, their signs faded, and a shrine tucked beneath a massive cedar tree. Its red torii gate is streaked with rain, and You pause, feeling a pull toward it. The air here feels different, heavier, like it's holding its breath. You step closer, your shoes sinking slightly into the wet earth, and notice a small stone tablet half hidden by moss. It's engraved with the name Yuki. Your heart skips. You kneel, brushing the moss away, and the characters stare back at you, stark against the stone. There's no date, no explanation, just her name. You feel a chill, not from the rain, but from the weight of it. You stand, looking around, half expecting someone to be watching, but the shrine is empty. The rain falls harder now, each drop a soft tap against your hood, and you swear you hear it again. That voice, faint, woven into the rhythm of the water, calling your name. You freeze, straining to listen, but it's gone as quickly as it came. You shake your head and keep walking, the village unfolding around you. You find a small tea house at the edge of town, its windows glowing warmly. Inside, an older woman named Kaito welcomes you, her smile crinkling the corners of her eyes. She's alone, the tea house empty, and she seems glad for the company. You order tea and ask about the village, easing into the question you really want to ask. Do you know the story of Yuki? You say, keeping your tone light. Aiko's smile falters, but she doesn't look away. Everyone here knows it, she says, setting a cup in front of you. Yuki was young, beautiful, and loved a man she couldn't have. They say her heart broke so deeply the rain took it, and now she sings through it. Her voice is soft, almost reverent, but there's a warning in her eyes. Don't listen too closely. She's lonely and she doesn't like to be alone. You ask what happened to her, but Aiko shakes her head. Some stories aren't mine to tell. She busies herself with the teapot, and you don't push. The tea is bitter, grounding, and you sip it slowly, watching the rain streak the windows. You notice a small painting on the wall, faded but clear. A woman in a kimono, her face half turned, her eyes wide and dark. Something about it makes your chest tighten, like she's looking right at you. Back at the inn, you find Taro in the common room, reading a book. He looks up as you enter, his expression unreadable. Find anything interesting? He asks, his tone teasing but sharp. You mention the shrine, the stone with Yuki's name, and his smile fades. You're digging deep, he says, closing his book. Be careful. Some things don't like being found. You want to ask what he means, but Hana calls him to help with something, and he leaves without another word. That night, you sit by your window again, the rain louder now, a steady drum against the roof. You open your notebook, scribbling what Aiko told you, but the words feel incomplete, like pieces of a puzzle you can't yet see. The voice comes. Again, clearer this time. It's not your name now, but a melody, soft and aching, pulling at something deep inside you. You lean closer to the window, your breath fogging the glass. The rain seems to shimmer, each drop catching the faint light, and for a moment you see her. A figure in the distance, her kimono pale against the dark trees, her hair streaming like ink. You blink and she's gone. Your heart pounds, and you tell yourself it's just the shadows, the rain playing tricks. But as you lie down, the voice lingers, threading through the night, calling you closer. You close your eyes, and it feels like she's standing just outside, waiting for you to follow. You wake with a start, the rain's steady rhythm pulling you from a dream you can't quite grasp. The room feels too small, the air thick with the scent of damp wood, and something sweeter, like jasmine. You sit up, your heart still racing from the image of the woman in the kimono, her silhouette burned into your mind. The rain hasn't stopped, its soft patter a constant companion, and you wonder if it's her voice keeping you from true rest. You shake the thought away, but it clings like dew on your skin. Downstairs, the inn is quiet, the breakfast table empty except for Reiko, who sips her tea in silence. Her eyes meet yours as you sit, and there's a weight to her gaze, like she knows something you don't. You look tired, she says, her voice gentle but probing. You admit you didn't sleep well, blaming the rain, but you don't mention. The voice, not yet. Reiko nods as if she expected this. The rain here doesn't let everyone sleep, she says, her fingers tightening around her cup. It wants you to listen. You want to ask more, but Kaito and Emi burst into the room, their voices bright and jarring. They're planning to hike to a nearby waterfall, despite the weather, and invite you along. You hesitate, the memory of the shrine and Aiko's warning still fresh, but the idea of staying inside feels stifling. You agree, hoping the fresh air will clear your head. Hannah hands you a packed lunch, her smile tight. Stay on the path, she says, her tone almost maternal. The forest can be confusing in the rain. The trail is narrow, winding through dense cedar trees that block out what little light the clouds allow. Kaito leads the way, his enthusiasm undampened by the drizzle, while Emi trails behind, her umbrella bobbing like a bright flower. You walk in the middle, your boots sinking into the muddy path. The rain is lighter now, a fine mist that clings to your face, and you can't shake the feeling that it's watching you. The forest is alive with sound, the drip of water, the rustle of leaves, and something else, faint but unmistakable. That voice again, weaving through the trees, calling softly. You stop, your breath catching. Kaito turns, noticing your pause. You okay? He asks, his grin faltering. You nod, saying it's nothing, but Emi looks at you strangely, like she heard it too. It's just the wind, she says, but her voice wavers. You keep moving, the path growing steeper, the air cooler as you near the waterfall. The sound of rushing water grows louder, drowning out the rain, but not the voice. It's clearer now, a woman's voice, singing a melody that feels both familiar and foreign. You strain to hear the words, but they slip away like water through. Your fingers dot the waterfall comes into view, a cascade of silver against the dark rocks. It's beautiful, but there's something unsettling about it, like it's hiding a secret. You sit on a flat stone, eating the lunch Hannah packed, while Kaito and Emi take photos, their laughter echoing. You try to focus on the moment, but your eyes keep drifting to the water, to the mist rising from where it meets the rocks. For a moment, you see her again, the woman from your dream standing at the edge of the pool, her kimono shimmering in the faint light. You blink and she's gone, but your heart races. Emi notices your expression and sits beside you. You saw something, didn't you? She whispers, her eyes wide. You hesitate, then tell her about the figure, the voice in the rain. She listens, her face paling. I heard it too, she admits, her voice barely audible. Last night in our room, I thought it was a dream, but it felt so real. Kaito calls her over, breaking the moment, and she hurries back to him, leaving you alone with your thoughts. On the way back, the rain picks up heavier now, soaking through your coat. The voice is stronger, more insistent, and you feel it pulling at you, urging you to stray from the path. You resist, focusing on the ground beneath your feet, but the forest feels alive, the trees leaning closer, their branches brushing your shoulders. You glance back at Emi, who's clutching Kaito's arm, her face tense. "We need to get back," she says, and you nod, quickening your pace. Back at the inn, you dry off by the fire, your notebook open in your lap. You write down what Emi said, what you saw, trying to make sense of it. Taro appears, his hair damp from the rain, and sits across from you. "You went to the waterfall," he says, not a question. You nod and he leans closer, his voice low. "Did you hear her?" You freeze, your pen stilling. You ask who he means, though you already know. "Yuki," he says, his eyes locking onto yours. "She's drawn to people like you, people who listen." You ask him to explain, your voice sharper than you intend. He leans back, a faint smile playing on his lips. "She loved a man from this village long ago. He promised her everything, then left her for another. Her heart broke, and the rain took her sorrow. Now she sings, looking for someone to share it with." His words are calm, but they send a chill through you. You ask if he's heard her, and he nods, his smile fading. "Once, it's enough." That night you lie awake, the rain louder than ever. The voice is there, clear and mournful, singing your name. You press your hands to your ears, but it's inside you now, a melody you can't escape. You look out the window, and she's there again, closer this time, her face pale and beautiful, her eyes pleading. You want to look away, but you can't. She's calling you, and the rain is her voice, pulling you into the night. You barely sleep, the voice in the rain weaving through your dreams, pulling you back to that pale figure by the window. When you wake, the room is cold, the air heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth. You sit up, your hands trembling slightly, and check the window. It's shut tight, but the glass is streaked with water, as if the rain pressed itself closer in the night. You tell yourself it's just a story, a trick of your tired mind, but the melody lingers, soft and insistent, like a heartbeat you can't ignore. Downstairs, the inn feels quieter than before, the air thick with unspoken tension. Hana is there, arranging flowers in a vase, her movements slow and deliberate. She glances at you, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You look pale," she says, her tone careful. "The rain keeping you up?" You nod, avoiding her gaze, and mumble something about the weather. You don't tell her about the voice or the woman you saw. It feels too personal, too fragile, like speaking it aloud might make it real. You decide to stay close to the inn. Today, the forest and its secrets feeling too heavy after yesterday. You settle in the common room with your notebook, sketching the shrine, the waterfall, the woman's silhouette. The act of writing grounds you, but the words feel like they're slipping away, as if the story is writing itself. Reiko joins you, her presence quiet but steady. She watches you write for a moment before speaking. "You're chasing her story, aren't you?" she says, her voice soft. "Yuki's." You look up, startled, and nod. You ask what she knows, hoping for clarity. Reiko sighs, folding her hands in her lap. "Yuki was real," she says. "A girl from this village long ago. She loved a man named Haru, a merchant's son. They were promised to each other, but he was ambitious, wanted more than a village life. He left her for a city woman, someone with wealth and status. Yuki couldn't bear it. She walked into the rain one night and never came back. Her eyes meet yours, heavy with meaning. They say the rain kept her, and now she looks for someone to understand her pain. You ask why she'd choose you, a stranger. Reiko's smile is faint, almost sad. She chooses those who feel too much, she says, those who listen. Her words settle into you, heavy and cold, and you wonder what she sees in you to say that. Before you can ask more, Taro enters, his coat dripping from the rain. He glances at you and Reiko, his expression unreadable, then sits nearby, pretending to read a newspaper. You feel his attention on you, like a weight you can't shake. You decide to visit the village library, a small building near the shrine, hoping to find more about Yuki. The librarian, an elderly man named Kenji, greets you with a nod. The library smells of old paper and cedar, its shelves crowded with books and scrolls. You ask about local legends, and Kenji points you to a corner with dusty records. You spend hours there, flipping through faded pages, finding fragments of Yuki's story. A mention of a young woman who vanished near the waterfall, a note about a merchant's son who left the village in shame. Nothing concrete, but enough to make the story feel real, like the pieces are falling into place. As you read, the rain outside grows louder, drumming against the roof. You hear it again, that voice threading through the sound of the water. It's clearer now, singing your name, soft and pleading. You close the book, your hands shaking, and look around. Kenji is at his desk, oblivious, but you feel exposed, like the voice knows you're here. You leave the library, the rain soaking through your coat as you hurry back to the inn. The village feels smaller, the houses closer, the trees leaning in like they're watching. Back at the inn, you find Emi in the common room, alone. She looks shaken, her usual brightness gone. I saw her, she whispers, before you even sit down. Last night, outside our window. A woman in a kimono just standing there in the rain. You freeze, your heart pounding. You tell her you saw her too, and her eyes widen, a mix of fear and relief. Kaito thinks I'm imagining things, she says, her voice trembling. But it felt so real, like she wanted me to follow her. You share what Reiko told you about Yuki's broken heart, and Emi listens, her hands twisting in her lap. What does she want? She asks, almost to herself. You don't have an answer, but the question burrows into you, sharp and unsettling. Taro appears at the door, his eyes flicking between you and Emi. Talking about ghosts again? He says, his tone light but edged. You don't respond, and he leaves, but not before giving you a look that feels like a warning. That night, you lie awake, the rain a relentless hum outside. The voice is louder now, a melody that wraps around you, pulling you toward the window. You resist, keeping the curtains closed, but the sound is inside you, a call you can't ignore. You see her in your mind, her pale face, her dark eyes, her kimono swaying in the rain. She's closer now, her voice a whisper in your ear, asking you to come to her. You clutch the blanket, telling yourself it's just a story, but your heart races and the rain seems to answer, each drop a step closer to her. You wake to a stillness that feels unnatural, the rain softer now, a gentle murmur rather than the relentless drum of the past few days. Your room is bathed in pale light, the clouds thinning outside, but the air carries a weight, like the village is holding its breath. You feel her presence lingering, the woman in the kimono, her voice echoing in the quiet corners of your mind. You try to shake it off, splashing cold water on your face, but the melody clings to you, soft and persistent, like a thread you can't untangle. Downstairs, the inn is hushed. Hannah moves silently, setting out breakfast, her eyes avoiding yours. You wonder if she senses something, if she knows how the rain has started to feel like a conversation. Kaito and Amy are absent, their usual chatter replaced by an empty table. Reiko sits in her usual spot, her gaze fixed on the window, and you feel a pull to join her. You sit across from her, your tea steaming between you, and ask if she's ever seen Yuki. Her hands pause, mid-motion, and she looks at you, her eyes sharp with something like pity. Once, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. Years ago, when I was young and foolish, I followed her voice to the waterfall. I saw her standing there, her face so sad it broke my heart. I turned back, but not everyone does. You ask what she means, your voice trembling despite yourself. Reiko leans closer, her words slow and deliberate. Yuki doesn't just want to be heard. She wants someone to stay with her forever. The words settle into you, cold and heavy, and you feel the weight of her gaze, like she's warning you to stop chasing this story. You decide to visit the shrine again, hoping it holds more answers. The path is familiar now, the cobblestones. Slick under your boots, the cedar trees dripping with the last of the morning's rain. The shrine feels different today, quieter, as if it's waiting for you. You kneel by the stone tablet with Yuki's name, tracing the characters with your finger. The air hums, and you hear it again, that voice, soft and mournful, singing just beyond the trees. You stand, your heart quickening, and follow the sound, your feet moving before you can think. The forest is dense, the path fading into moss and roots. You tell yourself you'll only go a little farther, but the voice grows clearer, pulling you deeper. It's not your name now, but a melody, a plea woven into the rustle of leaves and the drip of water. You see flashes of her, a pale kimono flickering between the trees, her hair trailing like a shadow. You call out, your voice small in the vastness of the forest, but there's no answer, only the rain's soft reply. You stumble into a clearing, a small pond at its center, its surface rippling under the light drizzle. The voice is loud here, almost tangible, and you feel it wrap around you, warm and cold at once. You see her clearly now, standing by the pond, her kimono pale as moonlight, her eyes locked on yours. She's beautiful, her face etched with a sorrow that makes your chest ache. You take a step toward her, drawn by the need to understand, but the ground shifts beneath you, muddy and slick, and you catch yourself, heart pounding. You turn back. The forest suddenly unfamiliar, the path gone. Panic rises, but you focus on the sound of your own breathing, forcing yourself to retrace your steps. The voice fades as you move, replaced by the ordinary sounds of the forest, and you find the path again, your clothes damp and heavy. When you reach the shrine, you're shaking, not from the cold, but from the pull you felt, the urge to stay with her. Back at the inn, you find Amy in the common room, her face pale. She grabs your arm, her voice urgent. Kaito's gone, she says, her eyes wide with fear. He went to the waterfall this morning, said he wanted to see if the stories were true. He hasn't come back. You feel a chill, remembering Reiko's words, and tell her what you saw in the forest. Emi's grip tightens, her voice breaking. I heard her too last night. She was singing his name. You want to comfort her, but Taro appears, his expression grim. He's not the first to wander off, he says, his voice low. The rain makes people reckless. You ask if he's heard anything, and he hesitates, then nods. She's stronger today. The rain's lighter, but her voice carries farther. You feel a spark of anger at his calm, at how he seems to know so much but says so little. You demand to know what he's hiding, but he only shakes his head. Go look for him if you want, but don't listen too closely. That night you sit by your window, the rain a soft hum now, almost soothing. But the voice is there, clearer than ever, singing Kaito's name, then yours, then Emi's, a litany of longing. You see her again, just beyond the glass, her figure, faint but unmistakable. She's closer now, her hand pressed against the air as if she could reach through. You want to look away, but her eyes hold you, pleading, and the rain seems to whisper her story, urging you to follow her into the dark. You wake with a jolt, the rain's gentle patter now a distant hum, as if the world is holding its breath. Your room feels too quiet, the air heavy with the memory of Yuki's voice, her silhouette lingering in your mind like a shadow you can't shake. You check the window, half expecting to see her there, but it's just the gray dawn, the glass, streaked with fading drops. Your heart races, Emi's words about Kaito echoing in your head. He's still missing, and the thought of him lost in the rain, chasing that same voice, pulls you out of bed. Downstairs, the inn is tense, the usual warmth replaced by a brittle silence. Emi sits by the fire, her eyes red, her hands twisting. A damp handkerchief. Hana hovers nearby, offering tea, but her movements are stiff, her face tight with worry. Reiko is absent, and you wonder if she's avoiding the growing unease. Taro stands by the door, his coat already on, as if he's about to leave. You asked Emi if there's any news, and she shakes her head, her voice barely a whisper. I went to the waterfall at dawn. Nothing, just the rain and ... her voice. You feel a pang of guilt, as if your curiosity about Yuki has stirred something you can't control. You suggest going to the village elders, hoping they might know where to search. Emi nods, her expression desperate, and Taro offers to come along, his tone clipped but resolute. We'll need to move fast, he says, glancing at the window. The rain's light now, but it won't stay that way. You grab your coat, the fabric still damp from yesterday, and follow them out, the air cool and sharp against your skin. The village feels different today. The streets emptier, the houses shuttered tight. You head to the home of Elder Sato, a man Aiko mentioned as the keeper of Yamagiri's history. His house is at the edge of the village, a low structure with a tiled roof and a garden overgrown with ferns. He greets you at the door, his face weathered but kind, his eyes sharp as they take you in. You explain about Kaito, about the voice in the rain, and his expression darkens, though he doesn't seem surprised. You've heard her, haven't you? He says, gesturing for you to sit. You nod, and Emi speaks up, her voice trembling as she describes hearing Kaito's name. Sato listens, his hands folded, then sighs. Yuki's story is older than me, he says. She was betrayed, yes, but it wasn't just Haru's leaving. He promised to return, swore it on the shrine, but he never did. She waited, night after night, in the rain. When she realized he was gone for good, she gave herself to the forest, to the water. Now she calls to those who carry their own heartbreak. You feel a chill, wondering what heartbreak you carry that's drawn her to you. You ask if there's a way to find Kaito to stop Yuki's call. Sato's eyes soften, but his voice is firm. You can't stop her. She's part of the rain now. But you can resist her. Don't follow her voice, no matter how much it pulls. Kaito ... He may have listened too long. Amy stifles a sob, and you reach for her hand, feeling helpless. Taro, silent until now, speaks up. There's a place in the forest, he says, his voice low, a clearing where the pond reflects the moon. People say that's where she takes them. Sato nods, but his expression is grim. If you go, stay together, and don't let her voice lead you astray. You thank him, your mind racing, and head back into the rain, Emi clutching your arm, Taro leading the way. The forest is thicker today, the trees closing in, their branches dripping with a slow, deliberate rhythm. The path to the clearing is faint, overgrown, and you feel the voice again, stronger now, weaving through the air. It's not just your name or Kaito's, it's a melody of loss, of longing, pulling at the edges of your heart. Emi's steps falter, her eyes wide, and you grab her hand, anchoring her. Taro glances back, his face tense, and you wonder what he's heard, what he's not saying. The clearing appears suddenly, the pond at its center shimmering under the gray sky. The rain is light, but the voice is loud, filling the air with a song that makes your chest ache. You see him then, Kaito, standing at the pond's edge, his back to you, his shoulders slumped. Emi cries out, running toward him, but Taro grabs her arm, his voice sharp. Wait, look at him. You follow his gaze, and your breath catches. Kaito's not moving, his figure too still, his clothes soaked through, as if he's been standing there for hours. You call his name, but he doesn't turn. The voice grows louder, and you see her, Yuki, standing across the pond, her kimono pale and flowing, her eyes fixed on Kaito. She's singing, her voice a tide that pulls at you all. Emi struggles against Taro, desperate to reach Kaito, but you feel it too, the urge to step closer, to join her in the water. You shake your head, focusing on Emi's hand in yours, and shout Kaito's name again. This time he turns, his face blank, his eyes distant, like he's already half gone. You move toward him, your boots sinking into the mud, the voice pressing against you like a current. You reach Kaito, grabbing his arm, and he blinks, his gaze clearing slightly. I heard her, he whispers, his voice hoarse. She said she'd take the pain away. You pull him back away from the pond, and Yuki's figure flickers, her song faltering. Emi clings to Kaito, sobbing, and you feel the voice retreat, though it doesn't vanish entirely. Back at the inn, Kaito sits by the fire, wrapped in a blanket, his face pale, but his eyes clearer. He doesn't speak, but Emi stays close, her relief palpable. Taro watches from the doorway, his expression unreadable, and you wonder what he knows, what he's holding back. The rain picks up again, and you hear her voice, faint now, calling from the distance. She's not done with you, not yet. You wake to the soft patter of rain, lighter now, as if the storm is exhaling after days of holding its breath. The air in your room feels thinner, but the weight of Yuki's voice lingers, a quiet hum that seems to live in your bones. You lie still, staring at the ceiling, the memory of Kaito's blank stare at the pond haunting you. You saved him, pulled him back, but the pull of her song still tugs at you, a whisper you can't fully silence. You wonder if you're strong enough to resist her, or if she's already woven herself into you. Downstairs, the inn is subdued, the fire crackling softly in the common room. Kaito sits with Emi, his hands wrapped around a mug, his eyes still, distant but less vacant. Emi hovers close, her relief tempered by worry, her fingers brushing his arm as if to anchor him. Hannah moves quietly, serving breakfast, but her usual warmth is muted, her glances toward you sharp with concern. Reiko is there, her gaze fixed on the window, and you feel a pang of unease at how she seems to see more than she says. Taro is absent, and you're both relieved and curious, his cryptic warnings echoing in your mind. You sit with Emi and Kaito, asking how he's feeling. He speaks slowly, his voice rough. "It was like she was inside my head," he says, staring into his mug. "She promised to take it all away, the doubts, the fears. I wanted to go to her." Emi's eyes well up, and you reach for her hand, feeling the weight of her fear. You ask if he still hears her, and he hesitates, then shakes his head. Not like before, but it's still there, faint, like she's waiting. His words send a chill through you, and you wonder if you're all still caught in her tide. You decide to confront the story head-on, to learn more about Yuki and how to break her hold. You return to Elder Sato's house, the path familiar now. The rain a soft drizzle that clings to your hair. Sato welcomes you, his face lined with quiet resignation, as if he knew you'd come back. You tell him about the clearing, about pulling Kaito back, and ask if there's a way to stop Yuki's call. He sighs, settling into a chair, his hands folded like he's carrying a burden. "Yuki's not a ghost in the way you think," he says, his voice steady but heavy. "She's the rain itself, the sorrow it carries. She doesn't mean harm, but she's lonely, trapped in her own heartbreak. To stop her, you'd need to give her what she lost." You ask what that means, and he leans forward, his eyes piercing. "Love, trust, a promise kept, but it's dangerous. She might take you instead to keep her company in the rain." His words settle into you, cold and sharp, and you realize the risk of facing her directly. You leave his house, the rain heavier now, each drop a reminder of her presence. You head to the shrine, drawn to it like a compass point, the stone tablet. With Yuki's name feels alive under your touch, the moss cool and damp. You whisper her name, not sure why, and the air shifts, the rain slowing as if listening. You feel her voice again, soft and pleading, but it's different now, less a call, and more a question. You close your eyes, trying to understand, and see her in your mind, her face etched with longing, her hands reaching out. You return to the inn, your thoughts tangled. Taro is there, sitting by the fire, his expression guarded. You confront him, asking why he's so cryptic, what he knows about Yuki. He looks at you, his eyes dark with something like guilt. "I heard her once, years ago," he admits, his voice low. "I was young, heartbroken over someone who left. She almost took me, but I walked away. Not everyone does." You ask why he stayed in the village, and he shrugs, a bitter smile on his lips. "Someone has to warn people like you." His words sting, but they also ground you. You spend the evening with Emi and Kaito, planning to leave the village tomorrow. Emi's eager to go, her fear outweighing her curiosity, but Kaito seems reluctant, his gaze drifting to the window. You wonder if he's still hearing her, if she's still pulling at him. The rain grows louder as night falls, and you feel her voice again, weaving through the drops, calling your name with a tenderness that makes your heart ache. You sit by your window, the glass cold against your palm, and see her closer than ever, her kimono glowing faintly in the dark. She's not singing now, just watching, her eyes full of a sorrow you can't name. You feel the urge to open the window, to step out into the rain, to ask her what she wants. But you hold back, remembering Sato's warning, and close the curtains. Your breath uneven. Her voice lingers, soft and persistent, promising peace if you'll only follow. You lie down, the rain a lullaby you can't trust, and wonder if you'll ever be free of her. You wake to a quiet so deep it feels like the world has paused. The rain has stopped, leaving only a faint drip from the eaves, and the silence is almost louder than the storm. Your room is soft with morning light, the air clean and cool, but your heart carries the weight of Yuki's voice, her eyes still, vivid in your memory. You lie still, the events of yesterday swirling in your mind, Kaito's return, Taro's guarded words, Sato's warning about giving Yuki what she lost. You feel her presence, not as a sound now, but as a pull, a longing that's become part of you. Downstairs, the inn is stirring, the tension of the past days soft by the absence of rain. Emi and Kaito sit close, their hands entwined, their faces lighter but still marked by what they've seen. Hana moves with her usual grace, but her eyes linger on you, as if she senses the choice you're grappling with. Reiko is there, her gaze steady, and you feel she knows what's coming. Taro enters, his coat dry for once, and he nods at you, a silent acknowledgement that feels like permission to finish this story. You know you can't leave without facing Yuki, not with her, voice still echoing in your chest. You tell Emi and Kaito you're going to the shrine one last time, and Emi grabs your hand, her eyes wide. "Don't go alone," she says, her voice tight. But you smile, reassuring her, and say this is something you need to do. Taro offers to come, but you shake your head, feeling the weight of this moment is yours to carry. You grab your notebook, its pages filled with fragments of Yuki's story, and step into the village, the air crisp and still. The path to the shrine is familiar now, the cobblestones gleaming under a shy sun. The cedar trees stand tall, their branches no longer dripping, and the silence feels like a held breath. You reach the shrine, the stone tablet with Yuki's name, glowing softly in the light. You kneel, your fingers brushing the moss, and whisper her name, not as a question, but as an invitation. The air shifts, a faint breeze carrying the scent of jasmine, and you feel her before you see her, a presence as real as the ground beneath you. You stand, and she's there, across the clearing, her kimono pale and flowing, her face both beautiful and broken. Her eyes meet yours, and you feel the weight of her sorrow, her loneliness, like a tide pulling you under. But you don't step back. You speak to her, your voice steady, telling her you've heard her story, her pain, her love for Haru. You tell her you understand, that you felt your own heart ache, though you don't know why her voice chose you. You offer her the only thing you can, your presence, your willingness to listen. The air grows warmer, the breeze stronger, and you hear her voice, not in the rain, but in the space between you, soft and clear. She sings of love promised and broken, of nights spent waiting, of a heart that couldn't let go. You feel tears on your cheeks, not sure if they're yours or hers, and you take a step closer, your notebook clutched tight. You tell her she's not alone, that her story lives in the village, in the rain, in you. You don't know if it's enough, but you feel the air lighten, the weight lifting. You pull a small charm from your pocket, a gift from your grandmother, a tiny bell that jingles softly. You place it on the stone tablet, a promise to remember her, to carry her story back to the world. Yuki's figure shimmers, her eyes softening, and for a moment you think she smiles. The breeze grows stronger, carrying her voice upward, and she fades, her kimono blending into the light, her song dissolving into the air. You stand there alone, the shrine quiet, the tablet gleaming. You walk back to the inn, your steps lighter, the village waking under the clearing sky. Amy and Kaito are waiting, their relief palpable, and Taro nods, his eyes softer now, as if he knows what you've done. Hana offers you tea, her smile genuine for the first time, and Reiko touches your arm, her voice quiet. You gave her peace, she says, and you hope it's true. You pack your bag, ready to leave Yamagiri, the notebook heavier with Yuki's story. The village feels different now, the air clear, the shadows softer. You board the train, the platform, empty except for a faint breeze, and as you settle into your seat, you feel her one last time, a whisper of thanks in the quiet. You close your eyes, the train's rhythm soothing, and let the story rest. Some stories stay with us long after the words fade. Let this one rest beside you. Sleep deeply. And if it returns in your dreams, perhaps it was never truly gone.